So, as you know, over the weekend, there was a Brown University professor that was deported. And this is a complicated story as we got more details coming in, and I want to go over it with you guys. This was the headline from the New York Times. It says Brown University professor is deported despite a judge's order, right? So the judge is basically saying, hey, don't deport anyone anywhere. Hold them there so we have a hearing and we can get more details about what's going on. She was deported anyway, though, and this is also more of the story. Dr. Rasha Alloway, a kidney transplant specialist and Brown University professor who had a valid visa, was expelled in apparent defiance of a court order, right? So this is coming from the New York Times. And I mention this is because media outlets, depending on which one you watch, are going to say different things and emphasize different facts. So, for example, these are just four various stories that just came out a few hours ago that have a different version of this. This is from Fox News, right? That would be the right-leaning one. DHS, right? Department of Homeland Security, deported Brown University doctor attended Hezbollah chief's funeral, right? So they're going to emphasize that she was at some sort of funeral, and they're going to show, leader of Hezbollah, that kind of stuff in the photo, right? So they won't show her photo. CBS will run, judge cancels hearing for Brown University doctor deported despite his order. And they'll show picture of a plane going away. Then WCVB, I think that might be a Boston TV station. Brown University doctor detained by federal agents at Logan International Airport. And then you have from the Hill, Brown University doctor deported despite judge's orders. It all depends on what you think are the most important issues. And a lot of this stuff actually, the way that we see the world, the way that we see the news, what we watch, captures the different biases that we have. So for example, in my point of view, and I make it really clear, I also went to Brown University. So when I first saw the story, I was like, whoa, what's going on at my university, right? I had connected to it. And then I saw it was professor. And if you guys don't know, I'm a professor also. And Brown may be one of the places, if I ever go back to teaching again, that's where I would teach. So it's deeply hits home for me, and it's also part of the international community. I know a lot of people who are in this, be it foreign students, international students, or foreign international scholars, etc. So I just understand who these people would be, and it's just I was like, dang, this really bothered me. And if you saw my last video, you'll know. And then when you dig into it, and this is sort of where it gets really complicated, it says. Deported Brown University professor had, quote, sympathetic photos of Hezbollah leaders on her phone, DOJ says. And the reason why, when talking about media coverage, why you would put sympathetic photos in quotation marks is because that's what the government would claim. How do we decide what's a sympathetic photo or not? Because, for example, this particular funeral that they're referring to, it's like a really, really big event. Tens of thousands of people, right? So this would be a headline here from NBC. Tens of thousands mourn Hezbollah leader Nasrallah in mass funeral in Lebanon. When I see this, I'm just like, I don't live in Lebanon. I don't know, like, is this like everywhere in the city? So if you were anywhere on the street at that time, and it's like, how do you read this, right? When you're talking about something like this, so she might have had this stuff on her phone, and then it gets even more interesting because can the airport search your phone? And we'll get into the phone stuff in a second there, but can the airport search your phone at the border? And this is from the ACLU, and you're going to get different points of views on this because they even say. So for example, here's the question. If I'm entering the US with a valid travel papers, can law enforcement officers stop and search me? So here's an answer. And again, you're going to get different points of view in this one though. Generally, custom officers may stop people at the border to determine whether they are admissible to the United States, and they may search people's belongings for contraband, okay? This is true even if there's nothing suspicious about you or your luggage. The government believes this authority to search without individualized suspicion extends to searches of electronic devices such as laptops and cell phones, but that is contested legal issue. Officers may not select you for a personal search or secondary inspection based on your religion, race, national origin, gender, ethnicity, or political beliefs, right? So if all you've been to the airport, right, you go through metal detectors, they're going to search stuff like that. And I've been searched several times. All of us have, right? They do the metal detection thing. You put your arms out. You guys know this. But I haven't had someone like go through my phone and stuff like that. And what if you like on your phone, you're part of various WhatsApp communities. And for example, I'll tell you from her point of view, there might be people sending pictures, right? So for example, it says, asked about the photos and videos of Nasrallah and other leaders connected to Hezbollah, Alawi, that would be the doctor at Brown, said she's apolitical, so she's not political, and had images because those leaders are revered by many Shia Muslims. And here's a quote. So I had a lot of WhatsApp groups with families and friends, so a lot of different WhatsApp groups of family and friends who send them. So I am a Shia Muslim, and he is a religious figure. He has a lot of teachings, and he's highly regarded in the Shia community. Allah said, according to the transcript filed in court on Monday. I think if you listen to one of his sermons, you would know what I mean. He is a religious, spiritual person. As I said, he is a very high value. His teachings are about spirituality and morality. And she added about the sheikh who was killed last September in an Israeli airstrike on his bunker in Beirut suburbs. It all depends on your point of view on this stuff. I already know, and I think you guys already know, where the more right-leaning podcasts and news outlets are going to go. I want to mention this. So this is actually from Media Matters for America. I believe Elon Musk is suing this organization. If I remember correctly, it's hard to keep track of all the different lawsuits that Elon Musk sues. But basically, what Media Matters will do is they'll just talk about different biases in media and what's going on. This particular chart really caught my attention. It was yesterday. Basically, it just shows among, like, say, YouTubers, podcasters, etc. The vast majority of subscribers and people are right-leaning these days, right? Generally speaking, if you're kind of a Joe Rogan listener, that kind of stuff, or Ben Shapiro, these various people, you just don't believe any mainstream media news, so they always like to hit on mainstream media news all the time, and then you'll go over to the podcast or YouTube, which is frankly the Wild West. There's all sorts of people on these things and can say all kinds of stuff, and it's just a different world. And if you want to, I'll let you guys decide where I fit in on this particular chart. My goal as a former professor, I was a professor for about 10 years, is just to educate. I try to delineate what is fact and from opinion. I'll give you my opinion sometimes, but I try to be honest about these things. So from the Fox News point of view, which I'm telling you different points of view, they're going to emphasize that, hey, she had pictures of the funeral on her phone, right? And that's why I had to throw in the detail of, like, well, what if it's in like a WhatsApp group, and she's like, she's in lots of WhatsApp app groups, and what if there's this big funeral in town and like people to say, hey, did you go to the funeral? Oh yeah, I went. Or no, I didn't go. Or blah blah blah. I mean, there's just going to be a bunch of things on that, and I don't pretend to be the expert of what happened at the funeral. But if you're like a Fox News kind of thing, you're just going to say, oh, well, that, people of that particular religion or people from that particular country are all bad. And all they'll do is they'll show you these kind of things, right? These kind of pictures. And depending on your point of view, you're going to have immediately jump to conclusions on this stuff. So, for me, like I said, I just try to present you the facts. And various facts are going to matter to people. So, for example, and this is more your right-leaning podcast, you already kind of know where that's going to go and stuff like that, right? The facts that are interesting is, like, which photo would you run on this kind of story? Would you run this photo of the professor, or would you run this photo of the professor, right? So, for example, in this one, this would be from the New York Post, and they're going to emphasize, her religion and country of origin, and their viewers or readers would certainly think a certain kind of way, right? Everything depends on your particular bias of how you see the world. Other outlets would say, well, no, the most important facts are the court order, right? This person, she has a valid visa, H-1B. She's a professor at Brown. She's coming to return to go teach her classes. She's also a doctor, right? Probably has patients. And the border, stops her and searches her phone, I guess. And the phone stuff was new to me, so I didn't know that. That's why I mentioned it to you. And they're like, hey, what are these photos, et cetera, right? And then she explains it. Oh, there was a funeral and stuff. And then, she goes on just keep saying, I'm not political. And then the court's like, hey, we need to pause here. Don't send anyone anywhere. And then the customs and well, here's the thing. And this is where I try to make it clear between facts and opinion. The customs and border people are going to say, well, we didn't know about the court order, right? So in that situation, they're going to make the case, well, we didn't defy the court order because we didn't know about the court order. And I don't know any of this stuff other than what I tell you, because you're going to have different versions of this story. And this is what I try to do all the time, like, especially these complicated ones, because I just try my best just to be honest. And that's the best thing, honestly, with you guys with any of these things. Um, and then regards to my opinion, my opinion on this stuff, and this is where other facts become important. She's been in the USA. I think she graduated from university in 2015. I think she came to the USA in like 2018. So she's been in the USA a long time. She went to the American University in Beirut, and then she was at Ohio State University, the University of Washington, and then did her residency at Yale. I mean, she's been in the US a long time. And then now she teaches at Brown, and she's a kidney transplant specialist, right? And then my understanding is she went back to go visit her family, and then they found photos of, in those group chats on her phone, and started questioning her and stuff like that. And then they just decided, well, we don't know why you want to be here in USA. And that part is straight. That part right there is so strange to me. And then the judge was basically saying, hey, you got to wait till Monday. We'll have a hearing on this. But she's already in another country at the moment. I don't know exactly. I think it might be Lebanon, but they weren't clear on that, because there's a bunch of issues with this stuff, of course. And she's changed legal counsel, so I guess they're going to have another hearing next week on this stuff. I think this particular case is important because we're talking about a lot of people go in and out of the USA, and they all have the proper paperwork, etc. Does Borders, can they search your phone? What if they find stuff in group chats? How do we rate that? Was she singled out because of country of origin or the way she dressed? These kind of things, right? Is that legal? That kind of stuff. And also too, just to be fair, what if, for example, they find things that were deleted? I think they mentioned that, and is like, can I search someone's deleted trash bin and stuff like that? And how extensively are you going to go through someone's phone? I'll give you an example. I just trying to make it clear. So, for example, I read the news every single day, and I take screenshots of various stories that I want to go back to and read later. If I read a story, just for example, from Fox News, and you find this on my phone, and like, oh my God, Chris, are you a supporter of Fox News and stuff like that? I mean, not at all, actually. But but it's true. You did find it on my phone, because I wanted to read it later. I was just curious what their version of the story was, etc. So, I don't honestly, guys, I don't know what to make any of this stuff. And I don't jump to conclusions other than for me, in my opinion, I personally think the most important thing is that the Trump must people keep trying to hurry to deport people that they don't like for various reasons. And I think that's the thing. And why are we in such a hurry? I mean, and then the court orders like, hey, you got to hold it, because they have the proper paperwork, and if you've been in the U.S. for so long, you're probably not a threat. To be perfectly frank, you're probably not. And if tens of thousands of people went to whatever event, and it was, like I said, it was something like this, like it's like a stadium kind of stuff. And I don't I don't pretend to be an expert in her religious beliefs. I don't know this stuff. That's why I'm honest with you guys, this stuff, but I don't have any particular biases against any religion, to be perfectly frank. I think people have a right to believe whatever they want. And that's just my opinion on this stuff. But again, everyone has different points of view and biases on these stories. And I want to hear yours. What's your opinion on what happened? It gets to be really quite complicated, and we'll get more information come Monday. And also, whenever you talk about these kind of stories, I think it's important to mention your connections. And as I said, I saw the story and it connected to me because that's where I went to school. And if I went back to teaching, that's where I would go. And for me, it's troublesome that it's troublesome how quickly things escalated so fast. I think that's the best way to put it. And like someone who's a doctor, I highly, I don't know. I'll just say I don't know. And that's the best way to put it. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. And I catch you on the next video.